together.
Lion Fire inside 5 minutes after 1. Brian on Pacific Day, Solomon Islands Language Week 2022. Our theme this year, share 'em good fella knowledge, pass on the right knowledge. As we continue our celebrations of Solomon Islands Language Week 2022 on Pacific Days, we're joined now by Dr Irene Karongo Hundleby to talk about Solomon Islands traditional music. Irene is a bicultural Solomon Islands, New Zealand ethnomusicologist, independent researcher, and the Solomon Islands Liaison Officer for the International Council for Traditional Music, ICTM. In 2017, Irene completed her doctoral thesis at the University of Otago, Kwaimani Ana Liohaua Ngia, The Heart of Us, reflecting on Indigenous knowledge relationships and the importance of expression within North Malaysian music, arts and culture. As a researcher working with her own peoples, her study has focused on ethnographic experiences as an apprentice learning intangible cultural heritage from her elders. While Pacific travel is COVID restricted, Irene continues to focus on collaborative grassroots projects, co-creating with a Pasifika arts collective in Otepoti, Dunedin, and as co-founder of the Māori and Pasifika Education Trust Aotearoa. Irene's collective work is focused on documenting and elevating Indigenous knowledge, stories and perspectives related to Pasifika music, arts and culture. Irene and her husband Dave own and operate Relics Music, an independent record store they established in 2013, and Relics Hi-Fi store established in 2020. Dr. Irene Karongo Hundleby joins us now on Pacific Days. Hello and thank you too much for your time today, Dr. Irene.
Aswatiana, hello. Thank you too much for inviting me here today.
Very good.
Very pleased to be here.
And how very appropriate. I can see there in the background a hi-fi system. I don't know what decade that is, but it looks like it produces some good sound.
But yeah, it is good to have the sound. When you are an ethnomusicologist, you need to be able to listen to the music. So
very good. So firstly, tell us a little bit, about yourself. I want to know, because I've never read this term before, ethnomusicologist. What is an ethnomusicologist?
Great question. In an academic term. So in simple terms, it's a person that observes and researches and documents or studies the music and cultures of people. So in my case, I have been documenting the music and cultures of my own people in North Malaita, so La Bailalea area of North Malaita in the Solomon Islands. And for us, that also includes dances and talk story. So talk story is oral storytelling traditions. All of that is interwoven for us. You can't separate one from the other, as is the case with many Pasifika cultures.
So with that, tell us more about your research into Indigenous Solomon Islands music, please, Dr. Irene.
Wonderful. So I was very blessed that we come from a family where our family members have been extremely involved in music and culture and uplifting our people in music and culture and trying to revive the arts that have been lost through the 20th century. So our mother passed away many years ago, but she was key in giving us a music foundation. And one of her sisters, Lucy Bakale, was the key person that helped me to relearn a lot of our traditions. And she was involved with 3 different dance groups in our region. And so it involved me having a lot of people visit me with their knowledge. And I was really lucky that I was in a position as a family member that I was able to learn this stuff. So many of our traditions might have been thought of as private or private to families, so not necessarily shared to the public. And some of those traditions that I learned were also public dances and stories.
Did your research also involve being able to go back to home, especially to the northern Malaitan province, and how was that for you?
Yeah, so amazing. So my family was evacuated during the coup in 2000. So we hadn't gone back to, we were all living there in the 90s, but we hadn't gone back since it was 2004. So it had been 10 years since I had been home to our land. And because our mum had passed, our mum was a Solomon Islander, our father's a New Zealander. Our mum had passed when we were young. It was a way of me going back and reclaiming my own roots and reconnecting with my own roots. Sadly, my language is not that great. So this, language week, we grew up speaking Pidgin, but not our mother's own language. So it was a way of me reconnecting with family and learning all these things that you do as you get older, but we didn't have the opportunity to because we weren't at home. So pretty special time.
So when we're talking, we were looking at the origins of Solomon Islands music. Talk to me more on that, please, Dr. Irene.
Right, so I think it's worth remembering that we have 90 different languages and cultures in the Solomons. So that also means we have 90 different ways of being and thinking with all of those people and cultures. So in my position, I was able to connect to my own family and our traditions. But you have to remember that a few hours down the road, there's a whole nother set of traditions and culture and language. So, and this is the case all over the Solomons. So this is why Talk Pidgin or Talk Pidgin is used so much in the Solomons, because there's so many languages. So it's a way for us to communicate between each language and cultural group.
So if we focus on your beloved province of North Malaita, then talk to me about the musical origins within, Malaita, please.
So a lot of our music is actually based in our Indigenous religion. So a lot of our traditional music. So you can tell by so if you take, for example, a Christian hymn or we can all relate to a Christian hymn. There's stepwise motion in the tunes. So we tend to have notes right next to each other. With our traditional music, we would have massive jumps. And that's how I could tell that the music was from a time before Christianity. So those songs were very much related to our traditional Indigenous religion and the praise and prayer and celebration that would be done around our religious times of the past. So we are spiritual people, and of course music is always celebrated through religion as well.
So when we're talking about religion in terms of nature, so like if we, the trees, Mother Earth, the water,
the birds, the animals, a lot of our stories, there's always a relationship to the land. There's always a relationship to the sea, the ocean. There's always a relationship to our animals, our creatures, our trees. So very much you will see metaphor or animals, birds used as metaphors for humans. Throughout all of our music, very much so.
Are you able to give me an example? Because when you described like the differences between a Christian hymn and step-by-step music, like with even a cappella, or like.
Let's see if I can. Sorry, I did have something here, and then I've just lost it. But let me think on that one.
Okay, then.
Here's one. I found one.
Sure.
So this one is a very old lullaby song. You have to excuse my voice because I haven't prepared. But so the tune goes, Rivane, vane, Rivane, vane, vane mai koroingu, vane mai koroingu. Yeah, sorry, that could be a bit lower, but you can see that it jumps up and down. The tune is not a stepwise motion with the singing. So
it's beautiful, but the way I it's quite eerie. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? But not in
Yeah.
a haunt. Well, not in a haunting manner. But it's so fascinating because listening, you can't actually say, "Oh, yeah, that sounds like this piece of music," or if we're talking about
No,
post-colonial, it's very, very, I would say, a product of its time.
absolutely. So there's a really famous example of a roroa or a lullaby from this area called Sweet. It was sung by a woman called Awhanakwa and recorded in the 1960s. And a band called Deep Forest took that piece of music and it became extremely famous the world over. And the tune is called Sweet Lullaby. And so if you were to listen to that sometime this week, you probably can access that through the radio, have a listen to that. And that will give you a really good example of early lullabies from our particular area, or ones that we can still relate to now that we've, many traditions have been lost, but that is one that does still exist. Um,
When looking at traditional Solomon Islands music, and in particular, Malaita and Northern Malaita, what are the sort of instruments we're looking at, Irene?
yeah, so mostly we sing a cappella. We do have a dance is always very much involved in a lot of our music. So we have a rattle that is worn around the ankle called a whalake, which you'll see in other Pacifica traditions as well. And so stamping the foot and dancing with the foot will, so that keeps like a steady beat happening. We have a drum called an oar, which is like a wooden slit drum, various sizes from small all the way through to, massive big drums. And we have another rattle that's commonly used called a kisi kisi, which is shaken in the hand of the leader who's leading the dancing. And those instruments accent all of the singing that's especially used in celebration.
Because that was what I was going to ask, Nick. When we're looking at traditional music, what are some of the main themes when looking at traditional Solomon Islands music in the northern Malaita region?
Yeah, very good. So my work has predominantly been following the life of a human being and what times we would use music. It was a really easy way for me to study. So looked at poetry used for children, which is always rhythmic and has cadence to it, I guess you'd say. Lullabies with children. We have marriage songs or daurigini, which is, you may have heard of it referred to as the bride price, but bride price isn't very accurate, really. It's more what we would call the arrival of the woman, so, or daurigini, which is the woman arriving to the place of her groom for the first time. And also love songs and barasili, which are custom dance songs, maya, which are laments used for funeral processes. We have like a 2-week period of mourning. Goes for a lot longer than that, but for 2 weeks, most of our families will be together. When one of our family members passes, they will be sung to for 3 days until they're buried. So there's constant singing around the body and praying until the person has been buried. So those were very important in our traditions, and also pagan, as I was saying, our Indigenous music from the past, and also Christian music of the present. And then we've also got a hybrid form as well, where sometimes Indigenous tunes would be taken and applied to Christian music.
Has there been? I don't know what the state of Solomon Islands traditional music is now, but do you see, currently, are there many proponents of Solomon Islands traditional music that are currently releasing music or releasing, music from, the traditional era?
Yes, so all of that. So we do have some amazing traditional groups all through the Solomons. Probably the most famous of which would be known as the Narasirato Panpipers from South Malaita. who also were on the circuit in WOMAD for many years and well known internationally. But there's also, contemporary musicians that will use aspects of our culture in their music, or they might use traditional stories in their songs, but they're using contemporary instruments. So it might be electric guitar and bass. There are heavy metal bands. There's all kinds, every single type of music that you would like to see, it exists. And this is why, for me, it's really important to be able to go home so that I can continue to document and make sure that these things are recorded for our future generations. And not necessarily recorded by, actually recording the performances, but recorded as in it's written about or it's talked about so that people know in the future what our music has been like through this era.
For you, Dr. Irene, why this chosen path for you, committing, over 2 decades at least of your life to documenting, archiving, sharing the stories of, your peoples in the, North Malaita province? Where did it all start for you?
Yeah, so, I think it was instilled in us from when we were really young. When we had a mum that was a musician. We all grew up playing instruments. Singing was the first thing for us, though I don't sing as much as I used to anymore, as you could tell from before. But it was such a passionate part of who we were as a family and part of our culture. And as the years went on, I wanted to continue that, but also I needed to reconnect. So it was about me reconnecting to my people and to my family, and also being able to share with the rest of our family. I've been very privileged and very lucky that I've been able to learn from our elders many things that others will not know, and some of those elders have already passed. So the fact that I am able to share that knowledge on to other family members or other people where appropriate makes it helps us continue our culture in a very practical sense. And I'm not the only one that has been keen this. I have to say that this was a massive collaborative effort. There would have been a minimum of 100 people that were part of my research, and many of them related to us. And there were many, many, many people that are key at home in continuing our culture and making sure our traditions live on. So if you like, I'm a small part of that. All those people, all I'm doing is trying to help be a voice so that we continue learning and the next generations continue wanting to learn.
Very good indeed. Final words to our Solomon Islands community tuning in this afternoon, especially during Solomon Islands Language Week, Dr. Irene?
Yes, happy Indi Loivala. Me fala parawa proud to join together in Solomon Islands Language Week, and I know that it's hard because many of us haven't been able to go home for a few years, so connecting to each other is really important. But really happy to be here representing us and sharing our music.
Very good. So blessed. And before we let you go, Dr. Irene, maybe just one more favourite lullaby. Would you have one you could share with us? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
can I send you one?
We'll leave it there. But it was so beautiful, the one that you shared before. That was beautiful indeed. And a very big takia tu mas, Dr. Irene Karongo Hundleby. So blessed. Thank you, and all the very best for the rest of the week.
For sharing with me.
Takia tu mas. Bless him. Look at you. Thank you.
Takia tu mas.
It's 24 minutes.